Hello YouTube. I'm spoiling you tonight because my girlfriend's away, so I can shoot loads of video. It's great. So, after seeing the shocking terrain that we had in the battle report me and Dan played last weekend, I decided to rectify this problem this week, and I've been building some. So, here it is. It's a few bits there. It's not quite all of it, as I've got another forest which my mate Nick has, and another cluster of stones over there which I'm waiting to finish that stuff so I can show you what I've used to make my board. So yeah, this is now all 3 bits of 6x4 flocked, so 1, 2, 3, sorry, all bits of 2x4 to make a total of a 6x4. We've had a few problems with all of them. Sorry, I keep getting texts, so I'll make the phone get some noise. There you go, there comes through 3. So, put a few models on for scale, but let's go in for a closer look. So we got Sybil and a December Acolyte in a forest here. These trees are actually made so they pop out, and they do fit back in quite neatly. Those will loosen up over time, but it means you can kind of lift them up and play around with them. There's my new Blessed of December. See a bit of scale shot there. There it is next to Ice Golem. So you see it's a lot smaller than Ice Golem. And when if you had it on the ground like he was, so he would be up here somewhere. He's a fair bit taller than it. Let's put him back over there. Quite impressed with the hills, how they've turned out. Obviously they're just hills, but quite like them. They're quite big. That's a smaller hill that's there. But if you can see that, you got the earthy tones. Obviously got little grooves and stuff, so a bit like the GW hills. But the bits I'm also very impressed with are these. Because I've done some stones for the table. Got a Shikome there for scale. But yeah, they're big bits of foam on bases. And then painted up and sprayed up. So it's too open at the moment, this board. But the plan is to make another one of these woods, and I have a second one of these woods. My mate Nick has that at the moment because he went to a tournament and he needed some terrain, so he's borrowing that. And yeah, I'm making another one of them. So I've made one more of those, it's over there, not finished yet, and I'm going to make another one. And thought about making another hill. I might do, I've got enough stuff to do it, but I also might make, I've got some ruins, some Asciliath ruins, ruins of Middle-earth back when they were those kits, so I might make up one of them. Anyhow, so let's have a look at sort of the materials that I've used to make this board. So the board itself is just MDF, 2ft by 4ft MDF, 3 panels of it. It wasn't that expensive, so that's quite cheap. So you can sort of see how much it will cost you. So foam board. Foam board's a genius tool. So all these bases and these bases over here, they're all made from foam board. When I do the ruins, it'll be on a foam board base as well. So that's all good. To float the table, I bought a Games Workshop basing kit, or scenery kit, whatever they call it. I actually bought 2 of them because I ran out. The first one managed to get these 2 panels done, and a bit of grass left over, but it wasn't enough for a whole 3rd panel. So I now have a ton of spare grass, which I've been using on the hills, on these rocky bits, hills, trees. I've used grass everywhere, it's great. I really like it, I think it's looking good. And then you've got, so from the basing kit you get the ochre paint little pot, which I use that very sparingly, so if you look at these you can see it's kind of got a mottled effect. That's the ochre paint after I've dabbed most of it off and done sort of a dabby effect. You can probably also just about see it there on the hills. I've done it a little bit on there. I didn't really bother in the woods. Really think it was a big enough area to warrant it. So you got that. The big pot of brown. I churned through that. The entire board was painted that colour. The hills were all painted that colour. All the bases. Churned through a big pot of that. I mean I'm still on the first one, but only just. Black Citadel spray paint, very useful. Didn't use that very much. Haven't used that very often. So I'll be using it on the ruins. I've used it on the rocks here. I used it on these because that gave me a nice dark underlying colour. Little hint for you actually, if you are going to be spraying anything which is on a foam board base, you need to seal the edge of the foam board with PVA glue. I haven't put PVA glue out here actually, I should have done, but you need to seal the edge of the base with PVA because otherwise the spray paint dissolves the edge of the foam board. You get little dimply holes in it. Don't know what my hand's doing like this. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so you'll get little dimpled holes, and that's not what you want. So, I mean, you can flock over them, but still not perfect. So I'd PVA glue the edge. What I found is the big foam that I used to make the hills and the rocks, that actually did fine with spray paint over the top of it. I did test it on a bit of that first, and it didn't burn at all or anything like that, or get the hole marks. So I wasn't too worried there. So I then bought a can of this grey spray paint, that colour, and it made these rocks the colour they are. I then used a couple of, I can't find what I've done with them. Oh, it doesn't matter. I had a couple of small acrylic paints that I've mixed together and dry brushed over the rocks to get the sort of highlights done. I haven't done that on those ones over there yet. As you can see, actually I'll move these ones in. Obviously you can see there's quite a difference in colour between the rocks, so I need to still dry brush these ones and flock and baste them and make them look pretty. Little stones, actually these are quite big stones, these are my big stones, and then gravel, again used on the rocks. See, little stones, bits of gravel, more gravel up here, just to make it all look kind of pretty. Obviously you'll be needing some trees for this kind of a board. I picked those up from GW, they're pretty cheap as well. They're old GW trees, so I've used them in forests. The reason I've got the statue out actually is because I'm actually planning to make another forest in a minute. That's what I'm going to do. And I realised that I thought I had 10 trees, so I can make a forest of 3, a forest of 4 trees, and a forest of 3 trees. And I've already made a forest of 4 trees, and I've made a forest of 3 trees. And then I found I only had 9 trees, so I only have 2 trees left. And you can't really have a forest of only 2 trees, that looks a bit rubbish. So I'm going to put a weird statue in there and, you know, block it out a bit and make it look kind of freaky and cool. And, you know, it's a fantasy world, you could quite easily have weird statues in forests. I'm going to do the weirdest thing last, so we'll get to that in a second. This stuff, let's move this out of the way. That's, let's say, the latest bits are off. This is insulation foam that I got off a mate of mine. It's great. It really is fantastic. This paper on the top peels right off. So usually you just peel that off because you don't really want that. It's a good protective surface, but you don't really want it on your terrain. Sometimes you get little bits of it left behind, but that's okay. It's very lightweight. Let's say you can spray it whatever you want. It doesn't dissolve or anything. Rocks and hills made from that. Those are just for foam board. This stuff down here. Anyway, last but not least, the last thing you'll need. Well, you don't need this, but this is what I've found. Can of Purity Seal. I've only recently found this tactic, or this tactic, and it's brilliant. And I haven't actually got around to doing it on this tile yet. And you can already see where you can see the brown coming through under the grass. That's because the grass is falling off. So purity sealing your board prevents things like that. And there's a couple of bits where I have purity sealed it. I can't really find any of them, but yeah, there's a bit that I've purity sealed quite a lot this table, and found that once you do that, alright, it goes a little bit more misty coloured, the grass, but it really does help the grass from stopping it falling off, so it's a real bonus. You might get through 2 cans of purity seal doing it, but if you don't want to have to reflock your table every 6 months, it might be worth it. In fact, as I say, me and Dan flocked that a week ago, and it's already all fallen off. So, yeah, you can see the problems. If you want it looking good, you might want to invest in the whatever it is, about 20 quid's worth of Purity Seal. Anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed this. It's a bit of a weird one. You might get a third video tonight if I'm feeling generous, but I certainly have enjoyed it. I'm going to start working on that bit of terrain, actually. Can't wait. So, I will see you anon. Farewell.